Hello and welcome to Football Manager Roleplay, a project where we create a player using the FM pregame editor, give him the potential ability of 200 and see if he will become the greatest American footballer ever. Unlike many videos on YouTube, we will not be managing a club and will simply watch the progression of this player, Henry Marshall, from the age of 15 to hopefully his eventual retirement. This is a role-building exercise where FM23 provides the events and we build a story around those events. And now let's show you Henry's current slide. The 19-year-old Henry Marshall has been loaned out to Sunderland for 1 year by the club that holds his contract, Liverpool. He's coming off an injury, but he's played 17 games during his loan period with an impressive 6.95 average rating. Furthermore, his current rating has moved up +1 to 128 out of a 200 potential. However, Sunderland sits in 15th place in the Sky Bet Championship. As we move into February 2026, can Henry help them move up the table and help Sunderland win against Crystal Palace in the FA Cup early in February? Let's move the calendar forward and come back. All right, if you look at our calendar here, it's at February 21st, 2026. But let's go back in time to around the end of January 31st, we have Sunderland in the number 16 spot taking on Stoke in the number 10 spot. How did that end up? Sunderland actually won that game, a wintry game. Sunderland beat newly appointed Stoke manager Giovanni van Bronckhorst. What a name. And after 6 games without a win, they managed to get the 1-0 decision. This was a low/no scoring game. We're not going to look at it because Henry Marshall didn't play in that game. However, he was on the bench, unused substitute. However, he was excited for his teammates that they got the win. And then we'll move up to February 7th. And a little silence here while we move up the levels here. Sunderland facing Crystal Palace. This is an FA Cup match at the time. It's a FA 4th round match. And the result, well, when you think of a Sunderland game, what kind of a result do you think of? That's right, it was a 0-0 draw where Sunderland had no chance of winning that one. And in 11 days, they're going to have to go to Crystal Palace and win there in the rematch. Henry didn't play in this one either, so what's blocking him? Well, as it turns out, what's blocking him is this guy, Lino Souza, 21-year-old defender wing back left, who seems to have a lock on that spot. And Henry is just sitting out there watching in reserves, not being used. Now, before the game coming up on the 10th against Bristol City, Henry Marshall learns that the winner of Sunderland Crystal Palace's rematch is going to take on Liverpool. And Henry has not played, by the way, in either of Sunderland's FA Cup matches. I don't know if it means that Henry is cup-tied, because even though he's been on the bench in a couple of those matches, but he's never actually played in either of them. Let's go to February 10th. You have number 15 Sunderland against number 17 Bristol City. Can they make something of that? Yes, they can. A 2-0 win. And this game was a great game for Henry Marshall. And his passing wasn't great. Then the 34th, he received the ball from Julius and Bennett and took a close place shot. And Henry Marshall, it was in. Henry Marshall has scored his very first goal in professional football for Sunderland. Ole McBurney joins in the fun. Sunderland walks off with 3 points. There we go. Here's everyone who contributed to that game. Here's Henry's performance. He left at the 59th minute, slightly hobbled up, but even so, the goal, that was enough to plug him into 7.4. But Joe Worrell was the man of the match. He had a fantastic game, great passing, did pretty much everything right for that game. World fantastic result. It would actually make him the win. This win moved Sunderland all the way up to 12th place. Great job for Henry. He's ecstatic about it. Next game up, February 14th. This is at Salford. Sunderland, number 12, riding high against plucky little Salford. Plucky little Salford at 21st. And look at this. Look at this. This is the Peninsula Stadium, Salford, England. It is 5,032 seats. It's ridiculously small. But Salford's determined to hang in there. And guess what? Salford beats Sunderland 2-0. Oh, boy. Well, what can we say about this game? Here it is. Sunderland has a lot of emphasis, win of XG, but they don't make anything happen on the field. Marshall, he ends up with a 6-5. Pushed the wrong button again. Marshall, let's take a look at the 6-5 result here. Played the entire game. Looked very, very silly out there. Missed every single tackle he attempted. Looked very stupid. Head not in it. 6-5 match rating. He was pulled in the 80th minute, and he was replaced with Lino Sousa, the man who had been standing in front of him. Sousa ended up playing for only 5 minutes. He suffered a concussion after a collision with a Salford player. The down 1-0. This game was still in Sunderland's reach until the very end, and Stevie Mallan scored to basically seal the victory for Salford. So, not a lot to be cheerful about on a game that was held on February 14th. On the other hand, he was cheered up by the arrival of Teresa Hall from Liverpool. She came to visit Henry. She had some good news. Teresa had finally passed her University of Liverpool exams, and she was awarded her degree. Maybe a little bit late, but she was officially a graduate in finance and economics. Their hope was that they would have some more time together now that school was over and Teresa was looking for work. In other news, Joe Worrell, if we can find him here, he was named to the Championship Team of the Week. There we go. There's Joe Worrell. And if you look ahead here, FA drawing Sunderland against Liverpool, Sunderland winning an FA Fourth Cup round. This is at Crystal Palace, the rematch. And they were tied 0-0 going into the 82nd minute. And there he is, Ross Stewart, places a play shot from 15 yards. They take the lead in the 82nd minute and steal the win. They will go ahead, move up against Liverpool. Marshall, a decent 6-8 rating. He played the entire game. Tackle, sort of okay at his tackling. We're going to hold his breath to see if he actually plays in that match against Liverpool. That match, Liverpool versus Sunderland in the FA Cup at the 5th round, that'll take place at Anfield on the 28th. Next up, we will go to February 21st. That is a game against Luton. Sunderland at number 12, Luton at number 10. How does it end? It's a 1-1 draw on the road. How did Henry do? Henry looked quite good in that game. 7-1 match rating. There he is here. Had 7 interceptions. 7 interceptions made. Very good job. However, Sunderland, well, they finished 13th in the championship last season. And we have 13 more games to go. Let's look at the Skybuck Championship right now. There we are. Sheffield United, Norwich, Crystal Palace, Coventry, West Brom, Watford, Sunderland down there at 13. 10 wins, 10 losses, 13 draws, 0 goal differential. Exactly, as we'd say in America, exactly 500 ball. With 13 more games to go, it's starting to look as if Sunderland isn't going to finish much better than that this season. So let's stop here for a few moments and take some look at the other players in the Sunderland squad. We took a look last time at Joe Worrell, and now we're going to look at the vice captain of Sunderland. This is Daniel Ballard. Daniel Ballard is a 26-year-old center back out of Northern Ireland. Ballard has been with Sunderland since 2022, joining them on promotion back to the Championship. He came up through Arsenal's youth academy and was so emotionally devastated at being dropped at age 14 that he was kept on for another 2 years. He had successful seasons at Blackpool and Millwall before landing at Sunderland. And there's not a whole lot we can say, or at least not a lot we can find out about him on the internet. Nothing much to say except that he likes being in Sunderland and he has a lot of respect from the lads. So this takes us up to February 22nd. Let's see if we can move forward and play a few more games. All right, let's look at the current date on the calendar, which is March 18th, 2026. And we will go all the way back to February the 24th to get there. Look at the game against Charlton at home. Sunderland number 13, Charlton at number 12, where they will be taking on newly appointed manager Luca Marco Giuseppe. So what happens in this game? What happens is that Ole McBurnie wakes up from his long slumber, and he scores 2 goals this game in the 38th minute, 73rd minute, to give Sunderland a 2-0 win over Charlton. Henry Marshall would actually assist the first of those goals in a set piece, and he would finish with a 7.5 match rating. Playing the entire game right there. Ross Stewart. It's not Ross Stewart. Who is named man of the match? It was actually, I thought it was midfielder Jack Clark. Yeah, there he is. Man of the match, midfielder Jack Clark, substituted in the 54th minute, but he certainly did enough to give them that win. Let's go back, if we can, to the social feed. In the social feed, we have Dean Smith. There's Dean Smith saying he wants Marshall at Sunderland, but Jurgen Klopp is going to take some time to respond. He's going to say Marshall isn't for sale. Dean Smith, he responds and says, well, I hope that somehow we'll be able to find an agreement. Well, they might chat, who knows? They might chat about it at their next meeting, which is going to be on February 28th. This is the FA Cup 5th round, and it's going to be at Liverpool. Yes, Liverpool. Set up for this match, going to Anfield to play Liverpool. Unfortunately, Henry Marshall will not be able to play against his parents' club. It is forbidden. As it turns out, Teresa, his off again squeeze, wouldn't have been able to attend that game in Liverpool because she has been scheduled to attend the wedding of one of her college mates. Can Sunderland be the giant killer? As it turns out, Klopp ends up pouring some fuel on the fire. He says he doesn't think Sunderland's going to be a whole lot of trouble. And Dean Smith coming back saying, hey, we didn't come here just to applaud Liverpool. So, well, guess what? Jurgen Klopp was right. Yep, this was an embarrassing 2-0 loss to Liverpool at Anfield. Look at those shots and on target stats. They didn't even really get close to a chance. And then with the embarrassing Marek Rodak, the goalkeeper for Sunderland, he scored an own goal. Not a single green match rating on the Sunderland side here. And if Dean Smith spoke to Jurgen Klopp about Marshall, well, that rating 4 point damn 4.8. If Dean Smith spoke to Jurgen Klopp about acquiring Marshall, the press certainly never heard of it. However, Henry Marshall did get a minor accolade, and we're going to see if we can find it here. Yeah, they're voting for Championship Young Player of the Month. Now, he didn't win that, but Henry Marshall did finish second. 1 goal, 1 assist there. Very nice for Henry Marshall behind Peterborough's Jordan James. Furthermore, Orly McBurney's let's see if we can find these here. Team of the Week is announced, Championship Team of the Week. There's Orly McBurney here. His 2 goals were good enough. And Rodak, he also ends up on the Championship Team of the Week. And apparently he just simply decided to ignore that horrible game against Liverpool in the FA Cup, which knocks Sunderland out of the FA Cup. Let's go on to March 7th. Sunderland will face Cardiff. Sunderland in the 12th position, Cardiff at number 7. What was the result? Well, it was a sad 1-0 loss. We're not going to look at the game. Henry Marshall was an unused substitute in that game. There are 11 games left in the season at this point, and Sunderland is 13 points from a playoff spot. And now, some news from Liverpool. Henry Marshall, the club holds Henry Marshall's contract, and this was the big news. Liverpool is knocked out of the Champions League. Here's what happened. They were playing Roma. This game was, full details not available, playing Liverpool, playing Roma. They drew the first game 1-1 in the round of 16 against Roma, and then they drew it again 1-1 at Anfield. And I don't know why we can't get the full match, but it went to full time. Went to a penalty shootout. The penalty shootout was tied at three goals each. Milan Skriniar, he misses his take, and then, of all people, 37-year-old goalkeeper Jan Sommer from Roma, he squeaks it past Allison with the 5th shot to put Roma into the next round, and Liverpool is knocked out of the Champions League. They are still, however, in the FA Cup. We will go to the March 14th game now against West Brom. Sunderland in the 13th position, West Brom at number 4. This was a result. This was a 1-1 draw. Get you there if we can. Yep, here we are. Sunderland rescue the late draw. Ross Stryker equalizes for Sunderland in the 82nd minute. We're not going to look at that game because he was just an unused substitute in that game. Now, if you can find Nigel Pearson, Sunderland getting ready to take on Preston. I don't know. It may have been here. Yep, here's Preston. Nigel Pearson, excuse me. Sheffield Wednesday's manager is fired. Nigel Pearson gets fired. Sheffield Wednesday in the 24th position at the very bottom of the Championship League. His replacement's going to have to keep Sheffield Wednesday from relegation in League One. This was the game against Preston North End. Sunderland at number 14, Preston North End at number 18. And you can see from the headlines, this is a 1-0 victory. It was marred by 2 red cards for Preston players that reduced Preston to 9 players just before the beginning of the second half. And even so, Jack Clark didn't score in the 72nd minute of that game and finally put Preston up top from good. Look at all the red here in the player statistics. Horrible game. Whereas Henry Marshall, he had a 7.4 game. Very nice game for him. Joe Worrell's the man of the match here. Henry Marshall looking good. A nice win for him. Worrell, like I said, was the man of the match. And this is probably a good time to stop for this episode. Let's take a look at the Sky Bet Championship before we go. Sheffield United, number 1. Norwich, number 2. The playoff level of Crystal Palace, Coventry, West Brom, Nottingham Forest. Sunderland down here in 12th. 12 wins, 14 draws, 11 losses, +2 in goal differential. Down at the very bottom, Bristol City, Peterborough, Sheffield Wednesday, but with Salford, Ipswich, a hair's breadth away. Anything could happen down here in the bottom part of the championship. And that's going to be it for this game. Henry Marshall finally scores his first goal. But how will Sunderland do with the rest of the season still to go? If you like what you've seen or heard, please hit the like button and subscribe. Until next time.